Doctors and nurses of Reddit who have delivered babies to mothers who clearly cheated on their husbands. What was that like? Paramedic here. Our crew delivered a full berth in the back of our rig. We have 2 paramedics in the back with a PT, a driver, and I'm working on a laptop listening to info they are telling me to add to the report. All of a sudden, it goes kind of quiet. I hear the mother let out a very loud "oh shit, it's not white." She was very white. Few more seconds of silence, and I'm like? The driver alarm beeping light on the center console sent from a button in the back, was pressed 2 times quickly, generally meaning to turn around to get info for the report. I turn from the front passenger seat to see a very dark skin-colored baby. I'm guessing Cuban. I can't see the mother's face, but all I see is her shaking her head. She begins to worry, saying that her husband is meeting us there at the hospital. He can't see this. I just continue the report, and am not sure what the problem is, but I guess we'll see when we get there. Flash forward, to the ER. We stop outside the ambulance bay. I get out to open the doors, and am met by another very wide heavy-set guy in a uniform shirt, dress pants and glasses, asked me if his wife was in there and she was in labor when he was coming home. Hospital policy dictates that we can't have random people that we can't confirm identity that close to the rig when opening doors for PT safety. Security is there quick, holds him back a bit. We open the doors, roll the PT and her newborn out. He takes one look, sees the color of the baby. Jaw drop, look of despair. Like a 1,000-yard stare. Even security had a look like, wow, that woman fucked up, and this guy knows it now. Wife, babe, I can explain every bit of this. I know it looks weird, but I can. We wheel her into ER. No sign of husband. Last I knew, the husband didn't check into the hospital as a visitor. I'm assuming he went home to pack his stuff. This isn't exactly what you are looking for, but my mom is black and my dad is white. My mom had kids with her first husband who were black, and they were born somewhat light-skinned, which is common among black children. So she was expecting this, but when she gave birth to my eldest full brother she thought something was wrong because of how pale he was. Nurse said that happens and he will get color. Fast forward to when it's time for them to go home, the nurses that are now on duty refused to let her go because obviously there had been some sort of mix-up. She was literally accused of trying to steal a white baby, and even with my dad there apparently, this kid was still too white to be mixed race. This was the early 80s, so crazy stuff went down in hospitals. Mind you, we lived in an area where mixed race families were non-existent at the time. Another fast forward 16 years, and my brother has a mountain biking accident and a TBI. He is literally hanging on by a thread. His friend calls and my mom rushes over to the hospital. His friend is literally there saying yes, this is his mom and she has her ID. Bro didn't have an ID though, and they're refusing to let her in. They ask for clarification if he is adopted or something, but apparently, the truth was the wrong answer. Hospital security escorted her out and she had to have my dad come, who by the way was just let right in. I highly doubt under any other circumstance they would erroneously not let a parent see their injured child because they don't look like them, but my mom being black with a very light-skinned child was apparently an issue. But anyway, back to the question, I wonder how many families have had drama thanks to genetics being so unpredictable. If my mom was white with a black husband, I am certain everyone would think she cheated on my dad with a white guy. Heck, people even accuse my mom of using an egg donor. Sometimes genes even skip generations, so a trait that hasn't popped up in a few generations can just randomly show up. I have a white friend who is a superman of a dad. When his third child was born, she was obviously of mixed race. His white wife had an affair with a black man. The wife also had substance abuse issues before this pregnancy and was no longer dependable or stable as a mother. So my friend immediately divorced her and took custody of the kids. All of them. He's been raising his 2 bio kids and the third child who isn't technically his for the past decade. She's his princess and he loves her exactly like the other 2. Edited to answer a couple of questions, he is a straight man who has not remarried. He's done this all on his own. dated here and there, but nothing serious yet. He's too busy with 3 kids, full-time career, and a small business to run. Also, bio dad to the 3rd child waived his rights immediately when he found out about her birth. He was mom's dealer and their fling was a one-time thing that resulted in pregnancy. He had 0 interest in fatherhood. Edited again to add, some people say how they could never raise another man's child, especially one that was a product of adultery, but you have to consider that my friend went through the entire pregnancy preparing for this baby that he thought was his. So he bought the baby gear, painted a nursery, went to the doctor appointments, etc. He was heavily invested in this baby before she was ever born. He already loved her and felt she was his, so it wasn't a big leap for him to take her on as his own. My wife's best friend is a doctor who delivers babies. I'll ask and get back to you all. Edit, a couple of stories came in. She delivered one baby where the father and mother were acting really awkward, but he was around during labor, and when it came time to push, the man just walked out and left the room. Apparently the issue was they were just friends and he lived in another state with his wife and kids. Another woman had an affair with her cousin's husband and got pregnant, calling him her fiancé. Her own husband died during this period and it prompted her to go out and sleep with a few other one-night stands. At this point she tried to get an abortion, but she was turned away because she was overweight and hypertensive, making the procedure too risky. She never followed up with the doctor and gained weight to over 400 pounds. It was too late for an abortion at this point, and she had been taking medication for the hypertensive thing, and the medication can cause death, deformities. When she delivered, it took the entire step to prevent her from having a stroke and the baby's kidneys. Do they work? No one knows. Most of the stories are that the man cheated. If the mother cheats, there's no real reason to bring it up, so they don't really know. Lots of having to tell a mother who has only slept with one man that she and her baby have chlamydia. No weird stories of white babies to black parents or vice versa. Also, if my wife's friend sees this, she will know who it is. Please just don't go through my history and judge me for my crayon-colored Pokemon picture. Med student. Had a mother who was A and father was A, but baby ended up being A+. Mother was asking if it was possible for this to happen, and the doctor kind of implied that it was possible, to my surprise, since it's not meant to be. But they suggested to retest the husband's blood group and follow up with their GP. The doctor told me after that they didn't want to get involved and would leave it up to the GP to deal with and just hope the husband was actually positive. Apparently got awkward the next day. They stayed for a couple days after due to complications, when the husband was asking about blood grouping and was just strongly suggested to get retested. I never found out what happened after, but from my impression of the mother and some of the things she said, I am pretty sure she cheated. I'm sure the doctors thought our baby was the product of cheating. So and I are mixed, but he clearly looks black. We both have dark brown curly hair. Baby came out white, then white with straight blonde hair. Baby just happened to get the white half of both of us, lol. Curious what his eye color will be. Right now they're still blue. Edit, for those questioning me, we had a DNA test done. I'll admit I wasn't faithful, but so is 100% the father. It's not a secret, both our families know I wasn't faithful. He didn't want to work and I was an escort to support us. He would take me to my clients' houses if need be. He didn't care. I quit once I found out I was pregnant. I was never worried he wasn't the father. I didn't work the week I conceived. Not a doctor or nurse, but when I was 14, maybe 15, I found out my cousin and his wife were having a baby. Keep in mind my mom had lots of much older siblings, so my cousin was already 23 at this point. Fast forward 8 months later, me, mom and the rest of our extended family were eagerly waiting outside the delivery room, and we hear a scream. Not my cousin's wife, but my cousin. The nurse opens the doors for us, and we see my cousin sitting on a chair, his head in his hands. His wife is holding their baby in her hands, but the only thing was, the baby was black. Needless to say, they divorced a month later and we have not heard from her since.